Hi, I'm Donald McIntyre, Senior Editor at the ETC Cooperative. This is the Ethereum Classic Show. And today we have as a guest Diego Lopez Leon, core developer of Ethereum Classic, specifically Hyperledger Besu software client. Hello, Diego. How are you?
Hello, Donald. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for your time and for giving me the information about Hyperledger Besu before. I wanted to talk about Hyperledger Besu, go over the different, the history and the features of Hyperledger Besu and how someone could run a node, Hyperledger Besu node, and what it does. But before that, can you tell me about yourself, your background, and what you do for Ethereum Classic?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I live in Argentina. I study computer science here in the University of Buenos Aires. I've been in the crypto ecosystem since 2017. Initially, I worked for RSK, which is a sidechain.
RSK?
RSK, yes.
Yeah, that's a very important company in the ecosystem.
Yeah, it is. There, I was part of the core developer team. So my initial experience was building a client for them. And then I moved working for the IDB, the Inter-American Development Bank, which we developed a private network on top of Hyperledger Besu. And then I got in touch to the ETC Cooperative, and then they wanted to sponsor me for contributing to Hyperledger Besu.
So you have an experience with RSK, which is like a layer 2 of Bitcoin, no? That adds a layer of smart contracts to Bitcoin, no?
Yeah, but basically they are a sidechain more than an L2. They used Bitcoin proof of work for their merge mining.
Merge mining, yeah.
System, yeah.
And then you started to work for Hyperledger Besu, but for the IDB.
IDB, yes. Okay. There, I got in touch with their code base, tried to find bugs, tried to propose fixes, and started to get in touch with their community. And yeah, basically we used the private network features of Besu initially in that project. But the modularity where Besu is built on allows us to work with the same code base.
That's good.
So yeah, that's.
So you have experience with smart contracts, with blockchain first, then smart contracts, and then Hyperledger Besu specifically, even before the adaptation to Ethereum Classic, no?
Yes, exactly.
And this is because Hyperledger Besu, as you say, is very modular, no? And it can be used for private blockchains as well as public blockchains.
Exactly. Yes. ConsenSys, which was the original author of Hyperledger Besu back in the days, was named Pantheon. Then they donated it to the Hyperledger Foundation and renamed it to Besu. Yeah, initially they had this idea of having private networks using Ethereum protocols. So that allowed them to also build in the same code base an Ethereum compatible client. And then ETC support was added to the upstream directly.
Well, so the story of Hyperledger Besu is that it was an independent project at the Linux Foundation, Hyperledger Foundation, which is part of Linux.
Yes, right now it is part of Hyperledger Foundation, which is part of the Linux Foundation. It's it's a foundation focused on blockchain technologies.
And it was only like for private chains, and then the contribution of ConsenSys created this new. How is the story of ConsenSys and Hyperledger?
Well, initially ConsenSys developed this client for building private networks, but also being Ethereum compatible, Ethereum mainnet compatible.
Okay.
They had this product named Pantheon, and then they donated this product to the Hyperledger Foundation.
Pantheon, okay.
Yeah, Pantheon, and once it was part of the Hyperledger Foundation, it was renamed to Besu. But yeah, from the beginning, it was envisioned to be like a multi-client. So at the beginning, it was just Ethereum mainnet and private networks, and over time, the support for ETC was added.
Okay, so does this mean that Hyperledger as a foundation, they have one software client that they support for Ethereum or EVM blockchains, and then they have other things, or do they have one which is the one that they had before, and separately they have Hyperledger Besu? Do they have like Hyperledger and then Hyperledger Besu?
No, it's all the same client.
All one.
Single,
okay.
Yeah, it's a single binary. For now, in the middle term, we think to explode this modularity a bit more and build different distributions for the same code base. But the idea will be like we could have like an ETC only binary or a private network only binary, all built from the same code base.
Okay.
But to allow us to distribute like simpler in some way clients, right?
Okay.
Like for example, ETC doesn't need actually all the engine APIs for building proof of stake networks. So at the moment, we have that as part of the binary. It's not being used in an ETC network, but we don't need it. So we may probably be able to distribute in a not so distant future a single distribution, like specifically crafted for just ETC needs.
Okay, so for now it's one monolithic software client.
Exactly.
So from the Hyperledger Besu perspective, it's one monolithic software client, and it can be used by, say, corporations or private entities for a private network. And then it could be used for the Ethereum network, which is proof of stake. And then it can be also used for Ethereum Classic. Does it support anything else? Any other thing?
No. They also have like private channels, which is like a feature for private networks, but that's something that only works on private networks.
Okay. So private networks, they're usually proof of authority networks. No, they just distribute the nodes between known brands and companies. And then you have the Ethereum mainnet, the Ethereum public blockchain is a proof of stake blockchain. And then Ethereum Classic is a proof of work blockchain. So does this mean the Hyperledger Besu has the three algorithms and you just switch it on and off?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's like the ConsenSys is pluggable in this case.
Okay. Oh, that's great. That's good. So, and so what was the contribution of the ETC Cooperative and your contribution? How was the story of that? You started to work for ETC Cooperative and added ETC support from scratch?
No, it wasn't me who added that. It was Antoine Toulme.
Okay.
He was hired by the ETC Cooperative for adding support. So he made all the hard work basically. And he integrated it into the upstream of Hyperledger Besu, and then I took over like the responsibility of keeping ETC still working on Hyperledger Besu and taking care of the different hard forks. And also, I'm a Hyperledger Besu maintainer, so I not only attach Ethereum Classic only code, but also some other parts of the code base which benefits Ethereum mainnet and Ethereum Classic. So for me, it's basically the same. Eventually, I have to take care of adding the specific part for supporting new hard forks, but most of my time is focused on the whole Ethereum protocol.
Oh, that's interesting. So, and you do that. So you are a contributor to Hyperledger Besu, the master core client. The master client, I would say, the master branch. And you maintain also the adaptation to ETC, and whenever there's upgrades, etc., you just implement that and you test it, and you're responsible also for the ETC adaptation. Do you do that? In what capacity do you do that? You work for ETC Cooperative just for the ETC adaptation, and then you work for somebody else for Hyperledger Besu, or are you an ETC Cooperative core developer working in the master branch?
Yes, I'm an ETC core developer working on the master branch.
Oh, that's interesting, because it means that the ETC Cooperative, and through the ETC Cooperative, Ethereum Classic is most actively participating in the larger ecosystem, no? In the larger EVM ecosystem.
Yes, that's the case. Actually, we were contributing or helping on the recently EOF development, which sadly wasn't part. It's not being part of the next Ethereum mainnet hard fork, but we tried to help in the different clients to add support to that, because we eventually want to add that to Ethereum Classic. So it makes sense for us to help Ethereum mainnet, and once it gets into a proper mainnet, then we move it to Ethereum Classic. So
EOF is an upgrade to Ethereum.
Yes, it's an EIP, which it's like a set of EIPs. Basically, it's EVM object format. It's a new way to have the structure of the binaries that are deployed into the blockchain, and that adds different capabilities like upgrading, and it has some security features. So that will be really helpful for the languages and the compilers.
It's an upgrade specifically of the EVM.
Yes, it's focused on the EVM. Yes, that's why it will be part of both networks.
Yeah, and that is coming in March. I heard in the next upgrade of Ethereum.
No, it was delayed. Hopefully, it will be part of Cancun.
Which is the second half.
September. Yeah, probably it will be in September.
So it's not.
But yeah, that is still being discussed. It was delayed because in the last all core devs, it came this feeling that it wasn't ready yet, and we still have to polish some corners. And well, it makes sense to delay something that it may hurt forever if we do it wrong. So yeah.
Okay, so EOF is a group of EIPs to upgrade the EVM, and it's not going to happen now in Shanghai, which is in March, more or less. It's going to happen in the Cancun hard fork, which is going to be hopefully in the second half of 2023. And you are part of the group of developers who are participating in the EOF upgrade as an Ethereum Classic, as an Ethereum Cooperative, digamos. Being part of the whole effort, and you're contributing to that specifically for Hyperledger Besu, the master branch.
Exactly. Yes.
And the logic is not only that the ETC Cooperative and Ethereum Classic can participate in the general research and development of all these things that are happening in the general EVM standard, but also that everything that happens, you can also eventually adapt it to ETC.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the idea.
And when EOF happens, if there's an upgrade, for example, say that Cancun is in September of 2023, immediately when it happens, the adaptation would happen in ETC, or would it happen like 3 or 6 months later or something like that?
We have to coordinate with the community the proper time for doing the next upgrade to add those new opcodes and EVM format to Ethereum Classic. But yeah, it could happen not far from when it got activated in Ethereum.
That's interesting. But that's interesting because Hyperledger Besu is a monolithic client, but it supports Ethereum and Ethereum Classic, both EVM blockchains in the same standard, but the changes may be introduced in Ethereum first. Yeah. And even though ETC is part of the same client, software client, these changes would occur later here in ETC. because it requires the coordination of the ecosystem. So in the end, the blockchains are different networks, different participants.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. It's a pretty neat code base, actually.
Yeah. Good. That's great. And it's interesting to know what is the broader participation of ETC Cooperative in the broader EVM standard. I think that the EVM standard is the winning operating system of the blockchain industry for smart contracts. And I think that ETC, Ethereum, and other blockchains are going to follow that standard. I mean, for now, I think it's 6 or 7 major blockchains that are EVM compatible. And they all have to stay compatible with the standard with any new changes.
Yes.
So it's very interesting to be part of that now, for Ethereum Classic to be part of that. Shall we talk specifically then about Hyperledger Besu for ETC?
Yes. Well, as said, basically it's all part of the same code base. So it's the same binary that you can download from the GitHub page of the project. You can check the checksum once you download it. And it's super simple to run an ETC node. You just add the -- network equals classic to the binary execution, and then you will be able to connect to the broader network. Yeah.
Very good. And what is the adaptation? What makes it an ETC client? What is it that it's different and unique for the ETC Hyperledger Besu?
Well, I think this feature of being like a single code base is something really interesting, because any bug that may affect Ethereum mainnet will be solved for Ethereum Classic, mostly like protocol levels or something that is not well coded initially in the client will benefit both networks. And yeah, basically also maybe for system administrator would be interesting to have knowledge of using this software on their flags on the particular configuration, and then maybe migrate their knowledge on using in a private network. So that also it's interesting.
But speaking of flags and configuration, because what I mean is, what is a specific adaptation for ETC? I can think that ETC is different than a private network and Ethereum mainnet in 2 or 3 things. 1, that it uses ETC hash and proof of work. 2, that it has a fixed monetary policy that is totally different than the others. And 3, that it has MES. So what things of those are particular of Hyperledger?
Well, we have ETC hash, of course, because we need to be in consensus. We don't implement MES for the moment. We don't know if MES will be part of the network for so long. So it's good enough for the stability of the network that only CoreGeth implements that security layer at the network level. So for the moment, it's not part. We can add it eventually if we want, but for the moment, we don't have plan to do that.
Okay, so it has ETC hash.
Yes. And also the monetary policy and all of those other concepts are part of the hard consensus of the blockchain.
And the monetary policy is the ETC monetary policy. So you said that people can go to github.com/hyperledgerbesu/besu.
Is github.com/hyperledger/besu.
Very good. And from there, they download the client, and to point it to ETC, they have to start it with -- network equal classic.
Yes,
that's the snippet they have to use to start it and to point to Ethereum Classic.
Exactly.
Excellent. And then I had one last question: is Hyperledger Besu can be used as archival node, as a full node, and as a light node? Is it capable of all those things?
No, we don't have light node support in Hyperledger Besu, but yeah, it will work well for archival and full node. Yeah.
as an archival node and as a full node, it works perfectly
Yes.
fine.
Yes. Yes.
And for miners and mining pools, does it mine also?
Yes. Yes, yes, you have support for connecting to a Stratum protocol. So basically, you can have an external miner communicating with the node, with Hyperledger Besu.
Excellent. Bueno, thank you very much, Diego. This was very useful information, and I think that people who watch this are going to know how to run it and how it works and the whole history. So this is great. Thank you so much for the information and your time.
Thank you again for having me, and you can reach me at Discord as Diego LL. So yeah, I'm happy to help.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Donald.